All right. So we're in the third week of the series we've been doing on habit forming, and I'm going to do a really, really fast recap. The very first week we talked about habits. They're really not about getting, something done. Like I want to be stop a new task in my life. They're less about becoming or less about achieving something. Like I have this goal I want to get to, and more about becoming someone. And then in last week, Tilly had a whole message prepared, and then God changed the agenda. We spent the bulk of our time just praying for God to break us free from lies we're believing about ourselves. And habits have so much to do with our identity and who we are becoming. And that's what we've been looking at in this series, is habits are about who we are, not about what we do, but who we are. And so since today is Mother's Day, I can't say enough about how awesome all the moms are in our lives, because moms have such a huge impact on the lives of their families, especially the lives of their children. I mean, moms sacrifice their time, they sacrifice their energy, their money. When you're a mom, sleepless nights, right? When you got a newborn, waking you up nonstop. I don't know about, how it went in your family, but like I'm the deep sleeper in our relationship. So like I wasn't getting up unless my wife woke me up, which of course defeats the purpose because then she's already up, But sleepless nights with a newborn, and then, you move on to the next season of life and you have sleepless nights as when you got teenagers for completely different reasons. They're not waking you up to be fed and changed, but you're stressing out about maybe what they're doing or some of the people they're hanging out with or what decisions they have looming on the horizon or what's going on, the latest high school drama, and then they become, young adults. And then you have sleepless nights with that because I don't know if they're making the right decision on these things. Moms do so much. And one of the things that I've always, really appreciated and loved about Tilly, the mom in our house, is how in tune she is with who the kids are becoming. She'll come to me and be talking about one of our kids and something she sees. And after she, spells it out for me, I'm like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. We need to have a talk with them. I'm gonna start praying more about that. But my wife and all the moms in the room, you guys are always so in tune. Like those moments where you're like, I don't know about this latest friend group that they're involved in, and why is that? It's because moms, they know that who we surround ourselves with impacts our lives. And my mom in my life must have said, a million times to me this phrase: if a job is worth doing, it's worth doing right. Every time it came to doing a chore or homework or whatever. And of course, my reply to that was, some jobs, Mom, aren't worth doing. And this assignment in English class would be one of them. But she wanted me to be the kind of person who always gives my best effort. Someone who has a strong work ethic, someone who doesn't just, check the box to get a task done, but gives it their all. And, I have my mom to thank for that, because that's hardwired in me now, that whenever I do something, I want to do it with the best level of excellence I can. It's really hard for me to be like, that'll be just good enough, no matter what the thing is. And like I said, Tilly's always got a pulse with what's going on, because she always wants to be there to guide and encourage our family, our kids, to be, we want them to grow up to be kind, thoughtful, generous, God-loving, God-honoring people. And, I don't know, I need to say this to this room. I think you guys get it. But just in case, someone's listening online who doesn't, anyone who sees moms basically as a full-time babysitter is a complete idiot, right? There's so much to it. And moms play a massive role in the kinds of people that our children become. And so with our talk this morning, I want to start us off with this question. Just kind of hold this one in your brain for a moment. Who do you want to be? You may be saying, "There's John, I'm in my 40s, I'm in my 50s, I am who I am." But I'm saying this: who do you want to become? In what direction do you want your life to be trending? Because what is true is that the habits that you and I, that we keep up on, a lot of those, we do those just automatically because it's been something that we've done for years or for months, and it has nothing to do with who we are. It's just a habit we've adopted. And so the habits we form change who we are. And so I'm going to ask Tilly to come up, and while she's doing that, years ago, one of the things that I wasn't happy about in my life is I was not someone who was consistently spending dedicated, quality time with God in prayer and in the Word. And the sad thing is, I was serving the role as an assistant pastor, at different churches, and I struggled to really develop something that was, a consistent daily thing where it wasn't just like I checked that box and I did the thing. And so even though I had been a pastor for years at this point in my life, I decided, I was like, I want this. And I'm going to figure this out. So I spent it took me months of just figuring out and playing around with, okay, well, what time of day is best? And I would try, okay, I'm not a morning person, so I'm not getting up early in the morning. That's not working. Lunchtime's too distracting. And for a little while, I was like, oh, nighttime. I'm a night owl. That works. And then I realized that actually didn't work, because that meant that, that end of the night kind of wind down time that normally I would be sitting beside Tilly in bed. We would just be kind of, unpacking from the day or the week or whatever. That time was lost, because I'd be like, all right, babe, have a good time. I'm going to watch a TV show. I'm going to go pray. And so what I realized is that for my season of life, I needed to be in the morning, because any other time it was just a distraction. And I'm not saying that that's a universal truth for everybody. I'm just saying for me, I realized, okay, for John, it needs to be in the morning, which meant that the key habit that I needed to start was a consistent bedtime, which doesn't sound very spiritual at all. It actually makes me feel a little bit like a kid, right? Like it's time for my bed. It's past my bedtime. Johnny, time to go to bed. But that was a reality. Very, very small change. And that's why I talked about in the first week. These 1% changes lead to big changes. And for me, to develop a consistent time where I was spending quality time, really praying and listening for what God had to say to me. And reading the Bible, not just to say, all right, I read my Bible today, but reading like, God, what do you want to say to me? For me, that had to be in the morning, which meant the key habit that started all that for me was going to bed at a consistent time. And so I want to tell you, when we're talking about, what habits that you need to develop in your life, you want to develop in your life, think smaller than what you probably are. If you're thinking about developing your own consistent time with God, don't think, all right, well, I want an hour a day. No. Your habit that you need to start with is something simple like mine. I need to be in bed at 10 every night, which means, sometimes I'm going to turn a game off, which means sometimes I'm not going to do other things. And that small habit led to big change. Now, I want to point out something really key, and then I'm going to have Tilly share. My vision was the key. My vision wasn't, I want to be somebody who prays every day so I can say I pray every day. The point was, I want to be someone who has a close relationship with God. And that was the fuel to say, because I want a close relationship with God, I need to go to bed at 10, which doesn't sound spiritual, but it's so spiritual. And so it's not about creating goals that are about something we do. It's about creating goals about who we want to become. And like all big changes, just like in that intro video with the dominoes, tipping over a domino doesn't seem like it's enough energy to knock over the big, huge, wall-sized brick at the end of that video. But you tip over enough small dominoes, you make a small enough change over and over and over again, it builds momentum that leads to bigger things. I'm going to invite Tilly to share a little bit about her prayer journaling as a mom.
Yes, he was sharing with me what he's talking about. I was like, yeah, babe, but most moms out there are going to be like, well, that's nice because you're a father and they have a little more balance than, mothers. And I was like, why don't I share what it looks like for me? And just hear us when we say, this is what we do. We just want to say, you can adapt ours or find your own way. It's just tools given you guys on having a prayer life. So as a mom of 4, when they were little and at home, my prayer life looked like waking up in the morning and, oh, dear God, get me through this day. Or, oh, dear God, let me not kill any of my children. And then the end of the night looked like, okay, thank you, God, we survived. But you have, if you think about it, each season you have to adapt to it. You have this habit, you want to stick with it, but stuff changes. So as they were little, it looked like nap time. Oh, okay, I got 5 minutes. Come on, God, here we go. And God honored that. He really did. He saw my heart, he saw my situation, and he knew 5 minutes is what he's going to get, and he was okay with that. And then it also looked like babies are crying, toddlers are running around. This is insane. Let's turn on some worship music and have a dance party. And that was time with God. That was my children experiencing God. And we had a lot of dance parties. So then as they got older and in school, it shifted again. And so it was like, okay, God, what does this look like? So it looks like now I take my kids to school. Thankfully, I work from home. And my prayer time looks like I'm going to come home and listen to my Bible. Sometimes I journal. Sometimes it's just sitting and praying with God, going on walks. I walk with God, and it's amazing. And so you just have to adapt your situation, as a mom. But one thing, let your kids see. Whether they're grown now, still let them see. I know my mom's prayer time is at 8 o'clock in the morning, so I know not to text her because she's doing that, because I see her do that. I hear her do that. But let your children see what you're doing. Just one quick little story. I listen to my Bible because I have dyslexia, and that's the way I comprehend it all. And so the kids know when the Bible's on, don't disturb mom, or you can sit and listen, and then you can talk to me afterwards. So sometimes they do sit and listen, and Eli was a little younger, I don't know, maybe 8 years old, and he was sitting or listening, or I didn't realize he was listening. And John's mom does this thing with him: for every memory verse you learn, you get a quarter for it. And then, what is it, 10 Commandments is $1? Okay, so Eli goes to his mom, Nana, and starts doing the 10 Commandments. And he said, "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's donkey." And I was like, what? Don't covet thy neighbor's donkey. And so I went back and looked, and it literally said that in the Bible. So he's quoting because he heard. So they do see you. They see you. Let them always see you. Let them come in with you. I do ask my children from time to time, what's God saying to you?
Yeah.
Are you reading your word? Honor's a lot like me, and we get a little pissy when we read the Old Testament because, y'all, that's messed up. So get in your word and find out what we get mad about. So yeah, always just adapt to your seasons, your change. Mike was talking about winter, and he perked up. About winter and going through winter, and it's hard and it's cold. You got to adapt through your seasons. Yeah. Whatever season you're in, just adapt to it and make it a habit.
Yeah. And so thank you, babe, for sharing the mom perspective there on developing the habit. But I want to go back to this question. Who do you want to become? Who do you want to be? Do you aspire to say, I want to be someone who's just a man, a woman of God? Maybe you're thinking, I really want to be someone who's just a strong person of faith, and no matter what situation I'm in, whether I'm at work and everyone's just acting in a way that's just not honoring God, I want to be the person that still acts in a way that honors God, even when there's a lot of pressure to just jump in and join in with whatever's going on. Is it that you want to say, I want to be someone who's sober and clean, and I'm not needing that fix all the time, whether it's a substance or alcohol or whatever. It's maybe something that's financially, like, hey, I want to be someone who's financially independent, financially free. I want to stop just being in this endless cycle of consumer debt. Maybe you're like, I want to focus on my health. But who is it that you want to be? Who do you want to be? And so what I want to do this morning is I want to read what Paul, the apostle in the Bible, had to say to the Ephesian church. And we're going to look at this really key principle that he lived by that will allow you and I, if we put it into practice, to radically shape and change our lives. And what I failed to say at the very, very beginning is there is a powerful, powerful question that if we ask that question of ourselves and every situation, every season, it has the power to transform our lives in such large ways. And this question we'll discover here in Ephesians chapter 5. And so it says this, he's writing to this group of churches in Ephesus, he says this, "So be careful how you live. Don't live like fools, but like those who are wise." Don't live like fools, but like those who are wise, which just sounds like, all this nice things. Throw that on a greeting card that belongs on a poster in an office, with like an eagle flying, all this like inspirational poster things people put on their office, all these leadership quote things. It just kind of sounds nice, but when you really think about it, what does it mean to not live your life like a fool, but like those who are wise? Think about it. Think about the wisest person you could think of in your life. They don't just go through life without any kind of vision of who they want to be, where they want to go. They have a goal in mind. They have character in mind, the kind of person that they want to be. It's the difference between someone that says, I really want to tell the truth more often and lie less, and someone who says, I want to be a person of complete integrity. There's a big difference, right? One is just, I want to change this habit. I'd like to get caught less in lying or whatever. And someone who says, no, I want to be somebody who is a person of integrity. And so instead of being a fool, let's ask ourselves, what question that wise people ask, maybe not in this exact phrase or wording, but I guarantee you every wise person that you know, anybody that you look up to, you're like, man, that person, they've got their stuff together. They ask this question, and season after season and situation after situation. And this question has the potential to change your life. And it's this: in light of who I want to be, what is the wise thing to do? In light of who it is that I want to be, what is the wise thing to do? In light of the fact that I want to be a godly husband, a godly wife, when I'm in a situation, what is the wise thing to do? See, we rarely think about things in terms of a long-term vision when we're presented with an opportunity or a decision or a crossroads in life. A lot of times we just think about what is the easiest thing to do. What is the thing I can do right now to get me out of hot water? What is the thing I can do right now that will feel the best right now here in this moment? And rarely do we ask ourselves, what is the thing that will lead me to where I ultimately want to be? In light of who you want to be, if you ask this question, what's the wise thing to do? So let's just take health, for example. If you're saying, I would love to be someone who's going to be there for my kids and my grandkids, and so I want to take care of myself so I'm around for a long time because people are depending on me. I want to be there to see, all the graduations and weddings and anniversaries and all the things. I want to be a person who's healthy. Well, when you start asking this question over and over and over again, it changes how it feels to say, am I going to go back for my 6th slice of pizza? Because if I'm going back for slice number 6 and I ask myself, in light of who I want to be, in light of the fact that I want to see my grandkids get married someday, is it the wise thing to do to just keep on packing the food away? And the obvious answer is no. And having a vision question in mind, an idea of who it is that you want to be, and asking that question, is this going to lead me to the person I want to become? That's what provides the fuel to habit form. That's what provides the inspiration and I really want this. That's what provides that to say, I'm going to form this new habit. Just saying I want to be healthy, well, that's just kind of boring, isn't it? Because who cares? Like, I don't want to be healthy. I want to be satisfied right now. I want to enjoy a little bit more of this food that tastes so good but is oh so bad for me. That's what we always do. That's what we default to. But when we begin asking this question in light of who I want to be, what is the wise thing to do? And you can apply this in any area of life. Spiritually, if you want to become financially independent, ask this question when you're deciding that you're going to go do another impulse purchase, or when you decide it's time that you're like, oh man, check out the new iPhone. I like that bell and I like that whistle. I'm going to go out and get that as soon as it releases. And then maybe you ask yourself this question: in light of who I want to be, what is the wise thing to do? If I want to be financially independent, just do the math real quick. If I get rid of my phone installment payment and make do with the phone I have now that still works and operates fine, and if I do that for how many years, how much money will that save me? In light of what I want to be, in light of who I want to be, what is the wise thing to do? You know, if you want to have a close relationship with God, that changes everything. In light of who I want to be, I began asking myself this question, not in these words, but I kept telling myself when it got, close to 10 o'clock, I don't really feel like going to bed. I would much rather stay up and watch some more TV, or man, this show ended on a cliffhanger. I can't wait to find out what happens next. But in light of who it is I want to be, someone that has a close relationship with God, what's the wise thing to do? I'm going to call it a night. And I've learned that if I don't keep the consistent bedtime, I don't get up early. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. And that, by the way, is also what helps me, when I don't want to get up in the morning, when I hear that, when I feel my alarm go off. And a lot of times I'm like, no, not today, not today, not today. When I think about this question in my mind in those mornings, those are the mornings I get up. And when I don't think about that question, those are the mornings when I sleep in, I completely miss my time with God, and let me tell you, the day feels different. In light of who I want to be, what is the wise thing to do? And we'll read on here in verse 16. Paul says this, make the most of every opportunity in these evil days. See, when we take this, this is a simple question. Any of us could do this. Just ask the question, in light of who I want to be, what's the wise thing to do? If you ask yourself that question in every opportunity, and every moment, whether you're the goal that God's put on your heart, the person that you want to become has something to do with your spiritual life. You want to be a great husband, a great wife, a great father, a great mother, whether it is you want to have financial freedom, whatever it is, in every opportunity, in every moment, asking this question. He goes on in verse 17, he says this, don't act thoughtlessly, which is exactly what we do with our default habits, right? When I'm just packing away slices of pizza, I am acting thoughtlessly. I'm like, man, I love pizza. Yes, I do. And I just grab another slice and I'll just keep on eating the pizza until there's no more pizza to be had. Don't act thoughtlessly, but understand what the Lord wants you to do. And, and Tilly shared last week, and we had a really great time praying for each other. But she emphasized, you and I, we need God's input in our lives. You're not going to form new habits that make a lasting difference in your life, real change in your life without God's input. Don't get me wrong, we can change stuff about our lives. We all know people who have, gotten themselves out of debt or gotten into better shape. But the things that really count, the things that really matter, the character stuff, that happens when we get God's input, when we reject and break lies, when we say, God, show me where it is that you want me to begin when it comes to my life. We need his power. You see, this is a vision question. In light of who I want to be, what is the wise thing to do? And the vision of that will motivate you over the long haul like nothing else will. In light of who I want to be, what is the wise thing to do? This is where habits begin. This is where changing old habits stop. If you've got a habit that you're like, every morning I get up, think about your morning for a moment. It's probably just about the same every morning, right? You get up, I'll bet big money. One of the first things you do is head to the bathroom and take care of, the night shift business, whatever that means to you. I'll just stop it there. It's Mother's Day. I don't want to get gross. But, you do that, and then what's the next thing you do? Maybe you brush your teeth, you take a shower, whatever your routine is. Maybe, your day starts every day with 20 minutes of scrolling on social media, and maybe that's just a neutral habit for you. It doesn't do anything, but maybe that's a habit that changes the way you feel about yourself. You just kind of start your day every day feeling a little bit crappy because you're annoyed at seeing everyone else's highlight reel while you're doing your business and in the bathroom, whatever it may be. But whatever your habits are, those are going to change who we become. And so maybe you're asking yourself, but John, I I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I know I'm not happy about everything I am right now, and there's things I want to see change, but I don't know where to start. I don't know where to begin. Or what if I get focused on pursuing something, because I've done this before in my life. I've gotten focused on pursuing something, maybe with career or in a relationship, and then once I finally got the thing that I was so focused on, I realized this isn't actually what I want at all. And so, if someone could find Brooke, I need Brooke, because he's got the cards we're going to talk about. I want to give you guys this exercise, and this is going to be kind of our take-home thing for today. But there's this classic leadership book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you've read it. But one of the things in there is it's by a guy named Stephen Covey. It's an old book. One of the things he does in there, one of the chapters, is he describes this situation. It's such a powerful thing to go through. And this will really help you figuring out the who does God want me to be? What do I want to become? He says this. He says, imagine you're at your own funeral just 3 years from today. You walk in, you could see family and friends gathering there. And maybe while you're waiting for the program to begin, you see the little paper program that says this is the order of service. And you see there's going to be 4 speakers at your funeral. One of the speakers is going to be one of your family members. One is going to be one of your close friends. They've got someone from your place of where you work. And then maybe someone from church or from some other community organization that you spend a lot of time in. Now I want you to think for a moment, okay? Before digging into these cards, we're going to take these cards home, but just if everyone could just kind of look up here for a moment, think deeply. What would you want those people to say? You got someone from your family, your friends, work, community. What kind of husband, what kind of wife, what kind of father, mother would you like their words to reflect? What kind of son or daughter would you want to be? What kind of friend? What kind of coworker? What's the character stuff that you'd like to be said about you when it's all said and done? What kind of contributions, achievements would you want people to remember about your life? And just in your mind's eye, just kind of just imagine looking around that room at the people that'll be there and thinking, what do I want them to remember about me, and what difference do I want to have made in their lives? And while this exercise isn't necessarily a fun exercise to think about our own mortality, it puts into laser focus like nothing else what really matters to you. I mean, anybody you've ever talked to that's had a little near-death thing, whether it's a car accident or maybe like a health emergency, they almost always say the same thing. Well, it really put things in perspective. And then all of a sudden, you see them make a big shift. There's things that they used to be obsessed about, maybe some hobby, or they're obsessed about their career or something else. All of a sudden, it's like, wow, they really ratcheted back on that. And all of a sudden, they're spending more time around the people. Because when we think about what you once said about you, remembered about you, when you and I are gone from this life, that tells you what really matters to you. And I have yet to go to a funeral. I've yet to do a funeral where people got up the end and said, oh man, if he just could have spent, a few more hours at work, just getting that last report done, that was just, no one says crap like that at funerals. They talk about the things that matter and last for eternity. And everything else in our lives is trying to distract you and distract me from the things that really matter. You know what I mean? Every commercial on TV is trying to sell you on something, and they'll bill it as something that's going to change your life. They'll come at it from this angle that talks about something that like this product is going to really matter to your life and do something that will change you in a greater, better way. But really, it's an agenda, right? They want your money. They want you to buy their thing, or they want to get your vote. They want to get your influence on a decision or something in politics. Everything in life is trying to distract you from what actually really matters to you. And so I want to challenge us to begin asking this question over and over and over again. In light of who I want to be, in light of God, who God says I am, in light of what God has spoken into my heart, what is the wise thing to do? A tiny 1% habit change is a move that moves you towards the person you want to be. So instead of looking at your life with this pass-fail mentality of like, okay, well, like let's just take the reading the Bible and praying things. Like, okay, so like today's Sunday, like I want to begin reading and praying every day. And so Monday comes around, you're like, yeah, I'm on it. And then Tuesday comes and you miss it. And then Wednesday comes, you miss it again. And then Thursday, and then Friday, and we get all the way back to Sunday. You're like, oh crap, like I had not prayed or read at all since Monday. I suck. I'm not a spiritual person. Big fail, and why bother trying? Instead of looking at your life through this lens. All right, well, you know what? This last week, I prayed one time on Monday. But you know what? That's one more time than the previous week. And so this week I'm gonna just keep moving in the right direction. And that's how I want us to think about the habits that we form in our lives. Asking this question. It's not about a final grade saying, oh, I passed or I failed. It's about saying, am I moving in the right direction? Whatever the habit is, and it works over time. The problem is we want to see things happen immediately, and life change doesn't happen that way. If you want to be free financially, that's going to happen 1,000 financial decisions multiplied over years, right? Every day you decide I'm not going to spend on something that I don't need and I'm going to save that money. That moves you in a financial direction. And you can't save $1,000 in a day, at least not most of us. You can't. You have to do it dollar at a time, here and there, here and there. And those small changes multiplied over time are just like the dominoes in the intro video. It's like nothing's happening. I'm just knocking over these teeny little dominoes and nothing's changing in my life. But you knock over enough small dominoes enough days in a row, and you keep coming back to it. And you're like, you know what? I'm still moving in the right direction. I'm still not where I want to be. I'm still not who I want to be, but I'm moving in the right direction. With God's help, I am continuing to be faithful to move this. I'm asking this question again and again and again. Who do I want to be? And because of who I want to be, I'm going to make this decision. And then I'm going to do it again today. And then tomorrow I forgot to ask that question, so I didn't move in that direction. But the next day I'm going to come back to it, and again and again and again. 5 minutes of prayer a day times 365 days is going to equal big life change. Eating one healthy meal every day, replacing one crappy meal with one healthy day over the course of months is going to equal big life change. Writing down one thing you're grateful for every day is going to equal and change your perspective and change how you approach life, change your attitude. It will equal big change. You get the idea. Because when you know who you are, it makes it easy to know what to do. When you know who you are, when you know who it is you want to be, when you know who it is you want to become, it's easy to decide what to do in all those situations and all those circumstances. Because you are looking at your life through the lens of where is God taking me? Not just what's happening right here in this moment. Where is God taking me? So I had Brooke hand out those cards because I want you to take some time this week and do this exercise. There's not time to do it here this morning, but on that card, on the one side, there's just a brief summary of what Stephen Covey has in his book about this funeral exercise. And on the back, there's a little space for you to write, and there's 4 different areas about family, friends, work, community. Take some time to write down all the things that come to mind. Just kind of mentally go through the exercise. Just jot down all of it. Don't worry about perfecting it or narrowing it down. Just write down the things that come to mind. And then take that list this week and ask God, say, God, what's the first thing on this list that you want me to form a new habit on? Just one thing. You can't tackle it all. If you try to do everything, you'll accomplish nothing. Take that list, pray about it, and then pick one thing. And then I want you this week to come up with one habit that you either start or stop in order to move you in the direction of who it is that God wants you to be. And I want you to think really, really small. Think about something that is such a small move that's so easy to do. Like, I'm going to start going to bed at 10 o'clock. I mean, seriously. Deciding to go to bed at a consistent time changed my life in immeasurable ways because it led to me being closer to God, which leads to other things, which leads to other things. I mean, not 100% directly, but in a lot of ways you could say, real life in your church exists because John went to bed at 10. I mean, it sounds goofy and funny, and you're like, well, no, not really. But yeah, kinda. Because if I'm not growing closer to God, I can guarantee you I'm not saying, hey, let's go start a church, babe. Sure, let's do it. We're not getting close enough for God. If I'm not close to God, if I'm spending just casual prayer time with God, and I hear this whisper, I want you to start a church, I'll be like, that's silly. That's because I ate too much pizza last night. We're not doing that. We're going to continue doing whatever it is we're doing now. Small change, like a domino, transform your life. So I'm going to ask Gila to put on a little music, and I want to close this in prayer. And I just want to encourage you, next week when we come back on the series, we're going to be talking a lot more practically about starting and stopping habits. I know we've been talking kind of big picture, and maybe you've been thinking, John, this is great. You guys have been sharing all this big picture stuff, but like, what do I do? Like, how do I break a habit? How do I start a new habit? Like, give me something a little more tangible. We're going to be talking about more of that this week. But we had to start with the big picture stuff, because if you don't have a vision of who it is that you want to be, none of it really matters. There's nothing, let's be honest, there's nothing inspiring about losing weight or, saying I want to be a spiritual person. That getting close to God. Yeah, sign me up for that. Being around for my grandkids' weddings, yeah, that's a goal I can get aboard with. Having financial freedom, not just so I can, all right, well, now I can, raise my standard of living and not be in debt. And that's not inspiring, but knowing that I could be a person who's generous, and every time a situation comes up that hits my heart, I could say, you know what? Yeah, I can do something about that. I can do something about it right now because I'm not handcuffed by debt. The big picture stuff, who I want to become, is where we had to start. So I want to pray with you guys. Heavenly Father, would you just speak to us this week? Get our attention. Interrupt our day if you have to. But God, I pray that all of us this week, we would actually take the time to take this card and write some stuff down on it. To begin with the end in mind. To look at our lives and say, where do I want to finish this race at? When it's all said and done, what kind of mark do I want to have left on my family and on my friends and on my coworkers and in my community? What do I want to be remembered about me? And then God, will you help us to just start with the thing that's on your heart? As we kind of get that list together, Lord, speak to us, guide us, Lord God, and then help us narrow that down even further by picking one small 1% easy to do habit that we can start or stop. Because God, your word is so clear. Small, consistent changes lead to huge, big life change. There's no big thing we can do to become the people you've called us to be tomorrow. There's no huge thing we can accomplish. We have to start small and be faithful. So God, would you help us with that this week? And lastly, Heavenly Father, I just pray again for all the moms. God, I pray they have an amazing day, just enjoying, Lord, their family, enjoying some rest and quiet time, and hopefully enjoying being pampered and treated and just spoiled today. God, we love you. We love our moms. And we thank you. Amen. Amen. Hey, We love you guys. More importantly, God loves you. Have an awesome Mother's Day, and we'll see you guys back here next week as we wrap up habit forming. Have an awesome week, guys.